Okay, so welcome. Let's see. I want my little picture to come up. Welcome to the presentation. I thought I would just kickstart by where this actual presentation came from. I was having in a coaching session with one of my Successful Signature Program students, and we were talking about pricing because she was about to go out and validate her pricing model. And we had this really nice discussion about all the moving parts that help you actually come up with your pricing. And she had such an epiphany moment of, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of undercharging, or in her case, it was undercharging, because once she saw the real value of what she brought to market and how much she's invested to have all the knowledge that she has to be able to bring her signature program to market, it's like a light bulb went off. So I was like, wow, okay, I bet there are other coaches who are on my email list or in my Facebook group that also need this formula and need this information. So that was how this was born. So welcome. If you've just joined, I'm Benay Dyor. I'm the founder of Universal Coaching Systems and Life Coach Office. And as the Coach Guardian, it's basically my mission to help coach change makers bring their best work into the world and to kickstart their business. So let's get into it with the magic of pricing your coaching, because I know it's something that everybody faces. Okay, so the big secret to pricing your coaching, and I might be a little bit different than what a lot of other coaches out there are saying, is really to be objective. Pricing isn't a personal thing. It's not about how much you value yourself or not. I mean, of course, that plays a bit of a role, but it's actually, numbers are numbers, and they tell a very clear story, and they get you to a very black and white financial end. And there's actually, if you can strip the personal attachment that we give to what we charge out of the equation and just look at the numbers, then you're on track to having a business. You know, this isn't a sort of a reflection of how we value ourselves necessarily. It plays a small role, but it's a really black and white numbers game. And when you can look at it like that, you're on to a winner. It really helps. So what I want to give you is some numbers, a strategy, a formula to actually start looking at your coaching business in that kind of black and white objective way. And the 4 parts are these: your salary, sufficiency, and I'll explain each of these in detail as we go through the presentation, your product suite, and validation. Okay, so let's get started with the first part of the equation, which is your salary. So it's really important to step back. I know with several of the clients I'm working with right now, they're starting their coaching business. They're working a full-time, or in some cases a part-time job. They're just a little bit disillusioned with it. They want to own their own time. They want to do something that makes more of a difference. They want to be their own boss. That's great. I mean, that's exactly the journey I was on when I first started back in 2006 it was. And it's, there's nothing like owning your own time and being your own boss. But what you've got to do is you've got to, sit down with your partner or, your family unit. If it's just you, look at your numbers. What do you need in your household? And what do you need to pay yourself to actually make this business worth your time? And some people, they don't actually even need the money because their husband has a job. If that's where you're coaching from, you need to know that, because your strategy is going to be really different. So let's look at this black and white. So what salary is actually worth your time? I mean, if you're making $1,000 a month from your coaching business, is that worth it? Because you're going to put in a lot of work and you're going to put in a lot of time into getting this going. Is $1,000 worth it to you? I mean, and you get the salary, but you also get some other benefits, owning your own time, having flexibility, and these sort of things, cutting back possibly on your other working hours. Is it $5,000 a month? Is it $10,000 a month? Is it $100,000 a month? What is your number? What do you want to pay yourself to give you the lifestyle that you want to live? Right? And this has nothing to do with your business. This is just what salary you need, because that's a really important number in the magic formula for pricing your work. And what happens is when you say, oh, all I really need to be really happy and fulfilled in my life and to do all the things that I want to do is this number, then you can start to make some more strategic decisions about your spending. A common thing that coaches fall into, and I can put my hand up and say, I've been guilty of this in the past too, is the shiny object syndrome. You I mean, coaches and gurus and all these trainings are so good at marketing their stuff. And you're just like, oh, wow, I need to buy that, or I need to buy this platform or this tool because it's going to revolutionize my business overnight. When you know that you actually need to pay yourself X amount of dollars each month, it makes you just do that little double check first. Like, okay, if I'm going to if I need to pay myself this each month, can I actually afford that? Is it the right time? Is it going to give me the return on investment, the ROI that I'm hoping for? And it just helps slow you down a little bit. So I find that this number is really very useful. And then of course you can reassess your salary as needed. So as you grow, as you change, as you evolve, that number will most likely go up, right? That's the plan. Okay, so the first part of the equation is your salary. So I've got a question at the end of each of my 4 steps. So write this one down. This is the first question you need to answer to have that first part of your magic formula. What salary do I need now to be happy and fulfilled? Okay, and once you've got that number, you've got the first part of the formula done. All right. The next part is sufficiency. Now, this is a term I got out of a wonderful book called Personal MBA. And I can't remember the author just at the top of my head right now, but Personal MBA, if you look it up on Amazon, it's there. But what he's done, the author's done, is he's basically read all of the Masters of Business sort of books that are out there, and he's condensed them into some key chapters. And one of the chapters he covers is your finances and financial thinking in your business. And the number that a term that he used is the term sufficiency, and it really resonated with me. I loved it because he said that you're a financial success in your business when your business has sufficiency. And basically that means that you bring in enough to cover and a little bit extra than what you're actually spending. And if you're doing that in your coaching business, you actually are a financial success. Most business owners actually cannot do that. So I encourage you to do some digging and see, is your business sufficient? What would you need to change to make it sufficient? Because once you're at that point, you have a financially successful business. So, and some of you might find when you do the numbers that, oh my gosh, you're already there, you're already sufficient, and you're doing a great job. And some of you might find, whoa, I have ways to go, and I'm overspending, I'm undercharging. But knowing the sufficiency number is really important. So here's how you do it. You basically make a spreadsheet of all of your expenses. So what are you paying for your website? What are you paying for your virtual assistant? What are you paying for all your courses and training? What are you paying for all of the expenses that are coming out of your business? Your hosting, your phone, all of that stuff. And then once you know that, and then you split it out into how much of it do you need to spend each month to keep your business ticking over. And then you can calculate, okay, well, I'm actually spending, $2,000 a month, or I'm spending $10,000 a month, or I'm paying $100,000 a month. So I need to bring in at least that much and a little bit more to have a profit, to actually be a financial success. So I love this number because, again, it makes it objective, and you just look at it in a black and white way to know whether or not your business is a financial success or not. So sufficiency, let's say the big question for you is, what is my target monthly revenue? Once you know how much you're spending each month on everything, then you can say, okay, what I aim to bring in each month is, and what's that number? Once you have that number, you can figure out whether or not you're sufficient or not, and that's really our goal as business owners, to be sufficient. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. This is the one this is my favorite one, so I spend the most time on this one usually. The next part of the equation, the magic formula for pricing your coaching, is your product suite. And I started coaching back in 2006, and it was back then. It was really you're selling a series of 2, 3, 6, 12 coaching sessions, and you kind of wing it in each session with some sort of vague outcomes, and that's what you're selling, and that's all really that coaches sold. And yeah, it's hard to sell because it's so vague, right? So what I've learned over time is that it's much smarter to have a robust product suite. So we'll get into that in a lot more detail in just a second, so that you have a range of products that meet your ideal clients where they are. Because what you'll find is that some people really love you, they like you, they trust you, and they think they want to work with you, but they're just not quite ready yet. Or maybe they just don't have that, they're not prepared to invest that high end one-on-one coaching just yet. So they need an entry-level product. So it's really good when you're a coach to be able to meet people with different price points and different opportunities to engage and connect with you, depending on where they are, budget-wise, and where they are in that buying cycle. Because they might feel like, yeah, maybe, but I'd like to maybe do this little thing first to make sure I really like him or I like her and want that person to be my coach. So having a product suite is really important. And I'll give you an example of that. So, I'm not going to give you an example of that because we're going to get to it in a lot more detail. I'm jumping the gun here. Okay. So once you have a product suite, this is where I'm trying to go, is how do you tease out your product suite? Where do you start? So let's look at this. The first place to start, the foundational piece, is to have a signature program for your coaching business. And basically a signature program, it takes your ideal client from where they know they are now. So the problem they associate with at the moment, like they're really stuck, they're insecure, they're not making the money they want, their business is stuck, they're not able to connect with people, their relationship's crap, whatever your niche is, like that's their problem, where they know they are now in their own language. And then your signature program gets them to Z, that final transformation where they're moving forward with ease and grace, they're making tons of money, they're connecting beautifully with their partner and their family, whatever the transformation is that you deliver, and then this middle bit connecting A and Z is your signature program. And it's the stages that you take your ideal clients through to get them from where they are to where they want to be through that transformation process. And now the most beautiful thing about your signature program is once you've got that, you know so much about your business. You all of a sudden, you have a niche, you have a clear group of people that you're marketing to, you have a clear problem that you're solving, you have a clear set of topics that you need to talk about in your blog, in your podcast, in your social media posts. You have all of this. I sometimes describe it as you've defined your coaching scope. So your signature program is really important because once you're there, it's like, I have a business. Okay. Anyway, I think I've covered all of those points. And then once you know your coaching scope and you know that transformation you deliver, what you can do is you can break it into many different types of products. And I've sort of noticed that there are a trend of sort of 4 product levels generally in coaching. You've often got the free thing, the free webinar, the free workbook, the free ebook that's, to get people on your email list and get them engaged. And of course that's free, but it gets them to know, like, and trust you. It builds your credibility, gives them a flavor of how you communicate and work. So it's a great product to have. And it can get people started on their journey no matter what their budget is too, which is really an awesome gift to give out to your ideal client group. The next level is the information product or the self-study product. So those are things like the online courses or ebooks or workbooks. It basically doesn't take any of your time. Somebody can just go to your website, give you the money and buy it. I love that level because it's a total passive income level. However, the market is being flooded with, online courses, self-study stuff, and the completion rates for some of these online courses are shocking, but still some people still buy those because that makes them feel good to feel like they've taken that first step, and then they need to go through that before they realize they actually need to work with a coach. So it's good to have that option. And sometimes actually there are clients who are totally motivated and they actually do finish online courses, but they're rare. But it's a great option because usually the self-studies, that doesn't involve any of your time, so the pricing is lower. You might have a $14 kit or a pack or a $20 ebook or a $200 online course or a $500 online course. That's, much more affordable for somebody than, say, a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $15,000 program. So these, there's a great place for that. I'm going to link this all back to signature programs. Just let me get through the rest of this. And then you've got the group program, where that's where you're leveraging your income because you're getting multiple people in to, into one of your hours at a time, and then they're all paying you. So of course your return on your time is higher than just one person paying you a little amount. So that's a leveraged income. And it's really nice too, because there's some beautiful things that can start happening with group dynamics, and they feed off each other and they support each other, and they have wisdom that you don't even have, that they bring into the group. So it's just a beautiful thing. I love groups. I love masterminds. I love the camaraderie and the love that actually comes from groups, because I like really small groups. But you can of course have massive groups too, with hundreds and hundreds of people on them, and you're starting to be really leveraged. So it's a really smart way to play. And then last but not least, which is what most coaches start with, is the VIP one-on-one time for money. And that should be basically your ultimate product. Now, how does this relate to your signature program? When you've got your coaching scope, you know where your ideal client is now, you know the transformation that you provide, and you know all of the steps to get them there. What you can do is you can start to break up your signature program into different pieces. You can say, to get them really excited about experiencing that transformation, they need, XYZ and their freebie, because that's going to get them so motivated to get going. Let me see if I can give you an example. I'm working with a really talented coach and mentor who works with teachers to help the students get excited and get self-motivated. So her freebie is all about getting teachers excited about what a self-motivated student actually does for her happess and ease of managing her class. So that's something that's pulled out of the signature program, but turned into a little freebie that's probably going to be a master class for her people. And it's going to get them really excited. And of course, they're going to want to know more. They're like, how do I do that? I totally want that. So you start to tease out your freebie from your signature program. Your information product. What I find with signature programs is that the information products and the self-study products usually come later. And I'll tell you why. Because when you first mapped out your signature program, it's really great if you can pilot it a couple of times. Some coaches want to go straight to piloting it with a group because they love that dynamic interaction with the team. Other people really want to road test and fine tune their content in a one-on-one relationship so they can calibrate their customer and their client and actually refine their content a little bit more. So you kind of do a little bit of a cheat when you're piloting your signature program. So I just wanted to kind of throw that in there. But let's say you've piloted your program, you've road tested your content, that's done, and now you're ready to chop and change your signature program into these different product levels. So let's say through your pilot, you've recorded a series of videos where you were actually coaching with somebody, and now actually you have a self-study product that's ready to go. You can just put that up on an online learning platform like Life Coach Office, for example, and then people can just buy that and go straight to that content. So as you're in your pilot phase, you're actually pulling out and delivering and developing these other products. Okay. I have a feeling there's going to be some questions about that at the end because I'm throwing a whole bunch in, and I'd really love to know what your questions are. I'm going to look at the Q&A at the end of this. So there is a little Q&A box. Please fill that in if you have any questions and things you want some clarification on there, because I know I'm storming through this. I could talk for literally days on just this slide. But I'm going to keep moving, okay? This is the last piece I wanted to throw in there. Once you've got your signature program, you know your coaching scope, and you've started to think, okay, here's some products I could have at each of those 4 product levels. What you can do is you can put together a killer product that actually combines some stuff from all the levels. And I like to refer to this, and I got this from one of my mentors, as a chocolate box approach. I'm gonna give you an example because I think that'll help you the most. I've got a student right now in the Successful Signature Program course, and she has decided to offer, so she's got her signature program with this is where the people are now, and this is the transformation they're going through. And with that, she's going to offer a couple of one-on-ones. She's going to offer a couple of group meetings, and then she's going to throw in a retreat. So she's really taking that chocolate box approach and putting together this very awesome package that involves almost all of the levels in that one product. And then that has a certain price point. Okay, so let's bring it back now to the magic formula for pricing your coaching and how the whole product suite concept contributes to that. Okay, because you have to map out your different products, and that's basically what this is sort of giving you some tools to how to start mapping out what kind of products you can have in your coaching business. So here's the big question to answer for this third component of the magic formula. How many products from your product suite must you sell each month to reach your target monthly revenue? And man, if this is one of the biggest aha moments. I guarantee you, when you start to map out, month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, you know what your expenses are. You've got that number in there that you need to pay yourself. You've got that number that you need to pay in there to just cover your running costs. And then, so that's your target monthly revenue that you already have to make right there. And then you start mapping out, wow, I have to sell, 5 of my VIP things. I have to sell, 20 of my signature. It just start to take each of your different products from your product suite and just doing the math on how many you need to actually sell to reach your target monthly revenue. It's a real eye opener. And if anything gets you into learning about marketing and marketing your work and getting out there and getting on the phone and getting calls and making sales, it's seeing this number. Because it's just like, it's a really good reality check. And what I find when coaches are first starting, they're so excited about, getting out there and actually teaching something and having a job that they're so excited about. They often forget to look at their numbers. And, this reality check is a really important component of being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. You need to have this side too. And it doesn't take long to actually just come up with these. Like, you can sit down and probably within an hour, you can have your spreadsheet done. Okay, so that's the question. So let's get on to the last part. And I just wanted to start with this little phrase that people buy. These are your customers. They buy because they believe they're getting more value in the transaction with you than they are spending. And I love that. So that leads us to the last part, which is validation. Now, I think through trial and error in my own coaching businesses over the last for years, since 2006, and having worked with hundreds of coaches on their coaching businesses, what the common pattern is like, I have this great idea and I know people are going to love it, and it's all my assumptions, and I build this thing and then you launch it and nobody wants it. Hi, I'm so smart. I know what I'm doing. I have this great idea. It worked for me, and nobody buys it. And that is the thing that's got to end, because so much time and energy and effort and mental and emotional attachment can go into, building your signature program and launch and your products at your different levels. So just stop that. There's an easier way to do it. Get your signature program into an outline format, and then jump onto the phone with a couple of 7 people who are in your ideal client range, and interview them about what they want and how this product that's in your mind that you've mapped out actually works for them. Get their feedback on delivery. You were thinking of doing it in 6 weeks, but actually they're like, oh my gosh, I could never fit that in with my busy life and actually get to a successful point. That would actually take me 6 months. That is valuable feedback for you. They don't want to meet every week. They want to meet every fortnight, or they want to meet once a month. They really want one-on-one time with you, or they really want to work in groups because they love that shared experience model. You need to know that stuff, and you can know that stuff by getting on the phone and talking to 7 people. And what I'm finding with my successful signature program students is that because we're all interactive, especially on Facebook, people are having a lot of success on Facebook. They're already in all these groups that are relevant to the topic, their niche anyway, that they put the call out for, I'm working on this great signature program. I really love some feedback. And they're getting, plenty of people putting their hand up to actually have that discussion. It's not a sales call. It's just a conversation to give you some feedback on whether or not you're missing the point or not, or you're on track. And it also can validate your pricing, which is really useful, which is, okay, this is a call about pricing. So let's talk about that piece. So I touched on this in the beginning, but the big thing in with a lot of the coaches out there saying, you know, don't undervalue your work. You've got to charge. High-end programs are the kind of the big thing that's been going around for maybe the last 2 years. You got to have, you know, $15,000, $10,000 programs. Otherwise, you know, blah, blah, blah. Now, that's all fine and good for you. And from a business perspective, it makes a lot of sense, especially when you go into your spreadsheet and you're mapping out how many products you need to sell to get to your target monthly revenue. But the reality of what your clients can afford might be really different. And you need to know that before you get too far and too committed into that ideal client. I was just talking with Marlon the other day, who's a guy who I'm bringing in for a marketing course we're putting together. And he was talking about how one of his clients went out and did validation, and he was going to target this certain market with his work. And he realized, oh my gosh, they could never afford the numbers. So he actually just tweaked his target market a little bit and then went back into his coaching business. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that, but you need to know what people actually can pay, because it is a reality. I mean, if you bring a $10,000 a year program to a market that actually could never afford that, even as much as they would value it and love it, you know, you're going to have a hard time. But if you meet them where they are and give them products that are at their price point, it's going to be much easier for you. And get you to thinking strategically, because when you try to map out to your target monthly revenue on a smaller end product, you start to think really differently about how often you have to release. And maybe you have to train up other coaches to do it at the same time if you're at a certain price point. This is all really valuable information for you and allows you to be a strategic entrepreneur rather than just, you know, somebody who wants to coach. Like, this is a business. So validation, especially around pricing, and you can get a whole lot more out of a validation call too. But since this is a pricing conversation, get on the phone, walk them through what you're thinking about, and ask, you know, say, and then what would this be worth to you? And just see what they say, and then tell them what you were going to think, what you were planning on charging, and then calibrate and just get that great feedback. Like, people can give you so much gold if you're just willing to listen to them and take everything that they're saying as feedback. And this call is not a sales call. It's just a validation call. Now, I've got a whole script for this, which I don't have time to get into on this conversation, but I hope the takeaway point I would like to leave you with is this one, is what price is your ideal client really happy to pay, and what can they afford? Okay, so that's the fourth part of the magic formula for pricing your coaching. Now I'd like to talk to you about how you can take this to the next level. Once you answer the questions in the pricing formula, you'll have your pricing for your program, which is pretty awesome. And armed with your price and your program content, of course, you're then ready to set your program up. If you want to deliver this online, you might be thinking, okay, how am I going to do it? Well, of course, I think that you should try Life Coach Office, which is our platform for managing your coaching business online. Let Life Coach Office do the tech for you so that you don't have to worry about that stuff. You'll literally have your program ready to sell in about 10 to 20 minutes, and it's really user intuitive. So the good news is you can try Life Coach Office for free. Just click the link below and you can get started straight away. Happy coaching.